Grab your cup of coffee. Sit down for a story. Let's all go exploring. Making it after 40. Making it after 40. Making it after 40.
Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Making It After 40. I am your host, Lisa Rodriguez. I am an actor and writer who is still trying to make it after the age of 40. On this show, we explore what it means to be an artist trying to make it as a middle-aged person. Today on the show, my guest is Jordan Preston. I met Jordan several years ago at Graham Shield Studios. Jordan impressed me with his talent and passion for acting. He also had a great attitude, and as you'll hear, that hasn't changed. Jordan shares with us how he's been able to stay motivated through dry spells and how that determination and perseverance has led to the success he is experiencing now. I hope you'll find Jordan as inspiring as I did. Enjoy the show. All right. Okay, so today on the show we have Jordan Preston. Hi, Jordan.
Hi.
Hi. So I met Jordan in an acting class many years ago, about 4 years ago, Graham Shield Studios.
Yep.
And yeah, we were scene partners a couple of times,
Yep.
and
Sure.
you were so awesome, straight out the bat, very welcoming.
You too.
You know, it's always when you go into a new acting class, especially one that's like established and it's the same players each
Right.
week. It's always kind of like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to fit in. But
Right.
you're so kind and so
Thank
generous.
You. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
It was easy. You made it easy because you were nice. You came in, you were cool, you talented and cool. That's all you need to pass, And so you passed immediately. So that was great.
Thank you.
You were very cool people. So, and you still are. So that's great.
Thank you. Yeah. And so I kept following you on Facebook, and there's another guest that actually her episode comes out tomorrow. I told her, I was like, in real life, we've only had a handful of conversations here and there, but we've been friends on social media forever.
Right.
So I feel like I know you.
Right. That's thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so Jordan is an actor, Los Angeles-based actor, obviously, since that's where we met. Jordan has really been you've really been taken off lately. Like,
thank you. Knock wood.
You've had some great roles, and you're doing it, man. You're living the dream.
Thank you. The dream. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I was wondering what I don't know about you. I don't know your journey and how you got to now, and like what's kept you going all these years. I looked at your IMDb, and it definitely seems like 2017 was a really good year for you. And
that's when things kicked off, started going.
Yeah. But even before then, you started to get some roles here and there, and
yes.
Give us your history. Give us your story of how you got to like where you are now.
Yes. Well, thank you. First of all, let me say it's great to see you again. I just got to put it out the way. I know you had baby and everything, and so congratulations. You've been busy yourself in these last 3 or 4 years. So
I have.
Yeah. No, and you look great because I haven't physically seen you in like years. So other than a little Facebook thumbnail, so that's very
thank you.
Great. So,
thank you.
In answer to your question, my journey, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I always had a bug to be an actor and a singer, entertainer. I was always around the house doing that stuff all the time, pretending I was a character on television or for the movies. When I get home, I thought I was the character for the rest of the evening and all that. And I loved that stuff. So I just had the bug to do it. I came to California at the invite of a friend of mine, and as soon as I got there, he left. So I was by myself. And from New York, it was amazing how that worked. He went back to New York. He told me, come out and stay with me for a while. He got into a fight with our roommates, and then he left like a week or two after I got there and went back to New York. And so I was in L.A. not knowing what to do, I was kind of surprised. And I didn't know anything to do. I had just come out of Herbert Berghoff School for acting. I did that in the Village for years when I got out of college. But I did not have the practical tools. I didn't know about getting an agent, getting a resume together, and all that stuff. So I just drifted for a while. That on top of the fact I didn't have a car, because
Yeah.
in New York, cars are like a liability. You got to move it from side to side every other day, and you got to go through traffic. And so I didn't have a mindset for a car. I just took the bus
Yeah.
everywhere, or cab, and it was crazy. So I finally got myself together about 4 years later, everything together, my own place, car, vehicle. And I started going on auditions, and I drifted a little bit because I needed a survival job.
Yeah.
So I started getting into security, and I did the whole security thing. I worked at Kate Mantilini's restaurant on Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills. And let me tell you, that waiting is nice, but it's not all cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Plus the fact when you wait tables in a high powered restaurant like Kate Mantilini's was during the 90s,
Yeah.
it's hard to see Jodie Foster come in, and then you see this one
Oh.
come in. You wait on Oprah Winfrey, and you see Robin Williams, and you see all these people during the day, on their phones, going day to day life, And it's like, man, I want to be here, but I got to get more coffee,
Yeah.
Kind of a disconnect, It's frustrating, but I just hung in there. But at the time, I started slowly getting myself together. Went through an agent. One agent wasn't good at all. They just took me and said, "We like your look," and that was it. And I didn't go on anything for like a year. And I said, "Okay, this can't be good." So then I cut them out. And finally, I went on an audition of myself. And I said, I asked the casting director. I said, "Do you have a good agent you can refer me to?" And she said, "Yeah, you can go to the Brogan agency. That's pretty cool. We use them all the time. They send us good folk." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
So I called. I said, "Can I use your name?" She said, "Sure, absolutely. We love you." So I used it. I used her name, and I called the Brogan agency. They said, "Well, come on down next week, and let's see what you got." So I came on down. I had to audition for them because they didn't know me from Adam, but they let me come in because I had a referral. And then she loved me. Sean Brogan loved me. She said, "All right, come on in. Yeah, we love you. Come on in." So a week later, 2 weeks later, altogether, I had an agent. And then things slowly started happening, but slowly I got like one movie here. I would work on like an independent film or a commercial, or those hardcover murder mysteries that come on cable. They do the recreations, and I'm the cop. And I don't say anything, but they show me as the detective came in the office and couldn't find, that type of thing. So I did a few of those, but it was very slow going. And to be honest, I wasn't focused on pushing either because I didn't know what to do. Finally, around after years of that, I decided to myself about 2002, 2003. I made a conscious effort that I was going to really give this acting thing. If I'm going to do it. Yeah. And I went to an acting coach named Jeffrey Tambor. And Jeffrey Tambor, yes, a great actor and great teacher, by the way. But he was opening up his own little studio, and it was only an intensive for about a year that he had. And I had great results in that. And from then I started. And then he stopped because he booked work. And he stopped doing it, and he couldn't come back because he was constantly got book. So I drifted around for a while, kept on doing security work. Finally, about 2014, I think it was. Yeah. I decided to do Graham Shields' class. A friend of mine, Courtney Shane, recommended that. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. But this time, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stay in Graham's class no matter what, if I like it. I love Graham's class. I stayed in. And through Graham's coaching, he does an audition scene thing, and then there's a scene thing. And through his coaching, I had a whole new possibility of opening up. So I started booking these auditions. I started booking things like Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television show, and like This Is Us, and then The Politician on Netflix. All these things started happening. I started booking more and more and more. And so one thing led to another, and then here we are today where my schedule gets full. Now, I'm an actual bona fide actor and entertainer, and so that was amazing for me. That was an amazing journey. But this is where I am today. I'm actually working.
So are you at a point where you don't have to have a backup, like a side hustle, or? Do you still keep a
I
side
do have a
hustle?
side. I do have a side hustle. My side hustle is that I also sing. So I
Okay.
perform. I perform all around. In private
Oh, so
parties,
you're
private
performing
events.
everywhere.
Yeah, private events. So that's been my side hustle in for the last 5 years, and then COVID hit and everything shut down. You
Yeah.
know, and on top of that, I got engaged during COVID. So it
I
was like,
saw that.
yeah, I got
I
engaged.
saw
I
that.
I just got married in April. I
And that's
just
your
got
first
married in
marriage,
April.
right?
My first marriage, man. I'm like a late bloomer,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah. So I just got married. Wonderful wife, Mary, and she says, "Well, if you're gonna do this acting thing, okay." Now, a little caveat with that: I've had
Uh-huh.
girlfriends and stuff all before this time, but
Yeah.
to Mary's credit and to my credit, Mary's the first girlfriend at the time that I had that saw me as a working actor.
Yeah.
She didn't see me as somebody. One day she didn't see me as
Uh-huh.
I'm doing this, but I'm also gonna do this. She knew
Uh-huh.
me as he's an actor, he's an entertainer. I see him sing. I go to these clubs, I see him sing. I
Yeah.
see him book work. I see him on a commercial right there. So I see him acting.
Yeah.
So she didn't have the angst of, well, when are you gonna do it?
Right.
And at my age, one thing about making it at a certain age, all before that, you have relationships, and God bless them. The women try to hang in there, but after a while, they go. If they're civilians, if they're not in show business, they do other
Yeah.
things. There comes a time when they go, well, maybe acting's not for you, or maybe you
Mm-hmm.
should stop, or what are we going to do here? You
Yeah,
haven't
yeah, yeah,
booked
yeah.
anything in 2 years, or
Yeah.
something like that. So, and then that would help disintegrate the relationship sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
I can imagine.
yeah,
I think that's like a big challenge,
yeah.
especially for straight men,
Yes,
is especially
yes,
when you're younger,
yes,
the women are looking to you. Are you going to be a provider? Are you going like
yes,
if we have kids, if the women want to have kids,
yes,
then they want to make sure that you can help provide for the
yes,
kids.
yes,
And then when you get older, they start looking at you like, well, why haven't you given up your dream yet?
yes. That's right.
And so
That's right.
that is a real challenge, I think, for
It
straight
is.
men that
It
maybe
is.
goes overlooked for some.
Yeah, it does.
I was just going to say, it takes a lot of perseverance and motivation
Yes.
for you to continue all this time.
Yes. Yes. Well, I had nowhere to go. To be honest with you, when I came to New York, when I came from New York to LA, I met friends and began to have friends in LA. A lot of them, we all were going to be actors or whatever, singers.
Yeah.
A lot of them through the years have drifted off.
Oh,
And
for sure.
most of them have moved back home to their
Yeah.
parents or to a relative, or they just took a job doing something else, saved up money, and moved back home and bought a property or started a business and stayed in their hometown. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not a career for the faint of heart.
No.
So I've had people do that left, and I had nowhere to go because both my parents by this time had died.
Okay.
My brother had moved out of state. He got married years ago and moved out of state, upstate Albany, and he wasn't
Yeah.
taking any boarders. So I had to stay.
You didn't
I
have a
couldn't,
choice.
yeah, I couldn't say I'm going home and I can't take this anymore. Even when I couldn't take this anymore, I had to
Yeah.
stay and find a resolution to it. You know,
Yeah.
but thank God, things have come around, and I'm glad I stayed. I'm glad
Yeah.
I hung in there.
What do you think is the thing that really kept you, it gave you that staying power? Was it the work? Was it the dream? Or was it that you had no safety net?
It was, it's a good question. That's a good question, Lisa. It was a combination of all of
Yeah.
those things. It was a combination of, well, what else are you going to do? I painted myself into a corner. I mean, I got the armed security guard thing, so you can do that anywhere in any part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
country. So I can go do that, or that type of thing. I had the credentials and the license and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was a massage therapist for a while, so I had the license for that. I had all these
Yeah.
little licenses. But the funny thing is, when you lock yourself into being an actor or an entertainer,
Yeah.
there's certain jobs that you can't take if you're serious about it, because
Yeah.
if they want you to be a manager of a grocery store or or you get to be an IT tech guy, that's what you have to do for
Yeah.
7 or 8 hours of the day. There's
Yeah.
no, I'm leaving Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'm taking off to go to an audition. or I booked a
Right.
job, so I have to leave on Monday, Friday, and next Tuesday. I can't be here.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that. You're fired after
No.
about 2 of those incidents. So it's either you get jobs that are temporary, like waitering or something that you can kind of control your destiny with your scheduling, or you get what you quit, or you say acting is going to be a hobby now, and I'm not going to really concentrate in it, and I'll just be an IT guy or a sales rep or a da da da.
Yeah.
That'll take most of my energy. And if acting happens, it happens. And I never had that type of feeling. I never said if acting happens, it happens. I'll do this, and I always wanted that to be my thing. I always wanted that to be my main thing that takes care of me and that I love. And so I just hung in there, And like I said, because in a weird way, I didn't have parents say, "Oh, come home. What are you doing that for?" We got a nice apartment for you. Come back to New York or stay with us or move in with your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any of those options. So I had to make it work. And I wasn't going to give up acting. So I had to make that work, and part of the acting that took me so long was just goofing off as far as living in a strange town, LA, and not knowing what to do. I didn't have a mentor sit by my side and say, well, first you got to do this, and then you got to get this, and then you have to do this and do that, and wake up. It's time to practice this now. Get up, get out of bed. I didn't have that. I was flying by the seat of my pants for many years. And, that stuff takes its toll, too. It's a consequence of being that way, too, or having those things happen. So I just answer to your question, I just hung in there. I just stayed in there, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, things just started turning around.
What do you think was the catalyst for things turning around? Do you think it was just reps, like getting into the office so many times, or do you think it was Graham's combination of maybe Graham's classes and the techniques you had learned from Jeffrey Tambor? Or
it was a little bit of Jeffrey Tambor, because when I was back in that time, in the mid 2000s, Jeffrey Tambor, it was and is a big deal of an actor. He did the Arrested Development and the Larry Sanders Show and all that stuff, and he was a big deal. And the one we played the woman that dresses that transgender, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And for him to acknowledge my ability was a big win for me, because sometimes you're doing this all in a tunnel, unless you have a lot of friends in acting. Sometimes you're doing this all in a tunnel, and you figure, am I any good? And you got people, civilians around you, which are mostly the people around you, civilians, because not everybody is an actor. And they're saying, well, maybe you shouldn't be maybe you're no good. Well, maybe this isn't the thing for you. And you start, if you're not careful, you start to believe it. And that can really suck in your energy and your feelings about yourself. But to have Jeffrey Tambor, who didn't have to say anything, he could just took my money and said, okay, next, doing good, kid, next. But he really sang my praises to me. And really kept me in his pocket as far as you can do this. This is you got a talent, man. You really do. And so that helped. But Graham Shields' class was phenomenal because it showed me another way of auditioning. And this is a two-pronged thing in acting. Acting is one skill, but auditioning is another total skill, which most people don't realize.
Yes,
you can be a terrible actor, but a great auditioner. You can be a terrible actor, but a great auditioner. You can have the great personality. You fit the role. You look like the role they have in their mind. See casting directors, and so you're in. And it has nothing to do with your acting abilities. But if you don't have all that going for you, and you're going for a role, you have to know how to audition. Yeah. And that's a skill that I learned from Graham Shields' class. I sing Graham Shields to the masses. And you guys out there looking for an acting class to get started, or you're already an actor, but you want to get a little edge or learn how to audition better, or you want to learn nuances in your acting, Graham Shields, he's not paying me or anything like that, but I'm plugging him because he's that good. And his class has made a significant difference in my career. Really has. Can't say that enough.
Yeah. I always love the technique that he has. Like he really, every time I think I go in and I have some choices, like, oh man, he blows me away with like something completely different. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I
And
didn't even see
I
that.
didn't even see that, right. And,
I didn't even see
and
that.
the funny thing is, Lisa, you're naturally good. You know what you come in with is great.
Oh, thank you.
And yet you still didn't see that other avenue. It was on your blind side.
No,
It's like
no.
a coach, and that's really
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is so
Yeah.
true.
I just started taking again with so I'm in BGB Studios class,
Yes,
which is
yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
it's the class is called the New Work, and the idea is kind of with this self-taping age, like what's going
Yes.
on. Although I think Graham was already doing that, and all
Yeah.
the self-taping stuff that I learned was from Graham's
Yes.
class.
Yes.
But I wanted to try something different, and it's honestly it's closer to my house, so
That helps. Hey, it's all about the commute, man. I totally get that. I totally get it.
that's the
Absolutely.
one downside is like Graham's class. I'm like Mid Wilshire, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, yeah. I totally get it. I still schlep all the way out there to go to his class.
But
It's true.
but yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get back into that class again because
Yeah.
that's been my challenge lately. Is like when I do get the audition, I don't book it, and like I tell myself, you were just too pretty. That's what I tell myself.
Which could be true. You never know. They say you never know why you didn't get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I'll just tell myself that because it makes me feel better, and I let it go.
I'm going to do that too. Can I take
You
that?
should. You should.
You're too
Please
pretty.
do.
You're too
You were,
pretty. That's why I didn't
Jordan,
get
you
it.
were just too pretty.
I love it.
Oh,
I'm
that
taking
is
that.
so funny.
Yeah,
That is so funny. So your wife, what was her name again?
Mary.
Mary. So you met Mary,
Yes, I met
and
Mary.
and from the start, she didn't take any issue with you being an entertainer because you already had your career established.
Yes,
Or
that's right. Because when I met Mary, I was already working. Like she could look at a body of work of mine, or she can see me on television and go, "Oh, there you are." Yes, And so there wasn't all this angst about, well, will you ever make it in show business? I know you want to be, but can you get there? At your age now, can you get there? Can you provide for us and help us? And so we didn't have a lot of that going in. Every once in a while, she'll still say, "Hey, you haven't had an audition in 2 weeks. What's going on? What's going on? We need to pay mortgage." So every once in a while, she'll feel like that. But for the most part, she doesn't have that type of angst about it. In fact, she was so happy about me being on this podcast.
oh
So,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
it was very cool. But no, I don't. Mary met me as an actor and an entertainer, and so she was always in Team Jordan Preston when we started.
that's awesome.
Yeah, but that's a great win. Yeah, that's a great.
Do you feel like, as I ask this question a lot because I don't know, I find people have different answers, but do you feel like part of your success now has come from aging into your type, or do you think it was just all the work and the relationships that you've built over the last 10, 15 years?
These are these great questions. I think it's a combo.
I'm starting to get good at this.
Yes, you are. You're very good too. This might be your calling too. You do it very well. You do it very well. I think it's a combination of all those things. It's very lucky. I'm very blessed because it doesn't matter how many connections or anything you have, you can still not ever make it and go home and say I tried. I've been very lucky and very blessed this season of my life to start getting the work I've always wanted, the caliber and the consistency and the income of work that I've always wanted. Knock wood. And but yeah, it's a combination of those things. Part of it is when you get older, a lot of the competition drops off too, because there are a lot of people, like we said earlier, that go back home. And so the people in middle age are trying to get roles, or the name actors. And if they can't afford the name actors, like, anybody you could think off the top of your head, they go to the next level, and then that's where we're waiting to swoop in, okay, so I didn't make $2 million for this like he would have, but okay, but I'm in now. So I'm in and I can go to the next thing. It's because all of these shows are just showcases, or just auditioning for the next role. Getting yourself ready for next role, so somebody can see you and go, "I like that guy. I didn't even know he existed. I want him for this. Call him up.
Yeah.
Or I like this guy. I see his work. Let's go. It's just
Yeah.
a piece and pieces how it snowballs. It's a combination of all those things, and people getting to know you, the relationships you get to have. Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question specifically about your Narcos role.
Yes.
So I haven't watched the show, but I was watching your reel.
I know. Everybody, see
I know.
visiting. Thank you. She didn't do her homework. I'm leaving right now. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I haven't watched the show yet.
That's okay.
There's so much darn TV out there.
Oh yeah, there is. Oh, there is. It took me a while to watch it myself, so I understand.
Yeah. But I was watching your demo reel, and I saw that you do an accent in the show. So like selfishly, I'm very curious about this process.
Yes.
Because I often get asked to portray my Latina side.
Yes.
But I don't speak Spanish fluently.
Yeah.
So I do speak Spanish some.
Yes.
But I don't speak it fluently. And then like as far as an accent, I feel like, am I like being cheesy? Am I doing it wrong? So I was just curious, like, how did you approach the accent, and like, how did you get or maybe it wasn't an issue of getting comfortable with it, but like, even because I'm curious from the audition process, because like I always feel like you have like a couple days, and now I got to learn an accent. I don't know. Tell us about that.
Yeah,
that experience.
it was interesting because as of yet I haven't done a lot of accents and stuff. But I know I have a look of a Latino guy. I always get cast up with that Polynesian Latino or Cuban.
Or Dominican Republic. Cuban,
right? Islander type guy, Mediterranean type guy. But with Narco-Saints, I knew that this guy was happening in the Netherlands, which is the Caribbean. I knew because of my look that I couldn't just go in and speak with a New York accent. That wouldn't work, my regular voice. So I knew this guy had to have some type of indigenous Spanish style accent. So what I did was, and I knew that the director and I decided this guy, though he speaks English and he understands it, he still is very careful with it. So he speaks in broken English a little bit. So instead of saying we all went to the store together, we went store together. That's how we would break it up a little bit. So what I did was I would listen to Antonio Banderas over and over again because I loved his accent. He would just get the juices up like this and he'd go, oh, like this is magnificent. This is what I want to do. And so I would do that and then bring it slowly down and boil it into Delano, my character's type of voice. How would he say it? This is magnificent. How would you do that? And started to just get it slower, but still with that Antonio Banderas accent inside.
Yeah.
So I started doing it, and it took a while, but that just a lot of inundation of Antonio Banderas doing it.
Yeah.
And then switching it to yourself. And I learned, and when I took voiceover class years ago, the voiceover teacher said, you know what? When you're doing a character, this was the animation part of voiceover class. She said, when you're doing a character, imitate somebody. Imitate Richard Nixon, imitate whoever you can think of. Brad Pitt, George Clooney, whoever celebrity you can think of, imitate them. Because when you do that, you're not going to sound like them. In your head, in your head, you're sounding like them. But on tape, you're going to sound like a bastardization of yourself and whatever comes out of that. So don't be afraid of imitating somebody or think you're going to sound like Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
Like he sounds like he's imitating Antonio, because it's not going to be like that. Once your flavor gets ingrained with that, it comes out totally you. Even though in your mind, your Antonio Banderas or whoever you have as your template is what you're focused on. But to the audience, it's like, oh wow, it just has an interesting accent. That's very cool. I just, So that's how I approached that, and that's how I had it. But it came out very successful. I get more compliments from fellow actors on that accent than
Oh
on anything, because it's so crazy. And I was like, really? I just, something I worked on, but it really does. They said, man, how did you do that accent? That's crazy. And then I had to speak Dutch. I had to do a Dutch speech at the end of this show.
Oh my gosh.
It's a 6-episode Narco-Saints on Netflix. It's in their top 10, by the way, people listening.
Yes, I
At
see
the
it
time
keep
of this
popping up.
podcast, it's in Netflix top 10, Narco-Saints. It's a Korean-based production, but they dub it and stuff. When I did that, at the end of it, I'm in 4 episodes of 6 limited series. At the end of my episodes, the last episode that I'm in, I have to speak Dutch and do a Dutch speech in Dutch language. So that was a whole nother thing. On top of a Spanish accent, I had to do Dutch and really do Dutch. And they said, you know what? The people of Suriname, which is a real country, have to, and it's Major Dutch is one of the top 3 languages in Suriname in that Netherlands area, because they're owned by the Dutch. That's very important, that the people sound like the president of the country really knows what he's saying. You can't just wing it and almost hit the notes and almost hit the words and almost hit the vowels and consonants. You have to know what you're saying. So I had to study with a voice coach, the guy who was Korean, but yet spoke Dutch, because he was raised in Suriname, but he was Korean, raised in Suriname, which is a lot like the show. And so we had to work diligently with each other. Nope, that word is not right. Got to go back and try it like that, and stop saying it like that and say it like this. And by the end, I had to say the whole speech, which came out very well. I'm so pleased.
That's awesome.
No critic or anybody that says that guy doing that Dutch accent is terrible. That Dutch language he butchered it. So I'm good. I'm good so far. So far so good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
God, that must have been like nerve-wracking.
Oh my God, that was one of the hardest things as an actor I've had to do, because it's not like somebody saying you have to learn Spanish or you have to learn Italian, because our ear in America, is kind of leaned towards Spanish anyway, so you hear it a lot. So you kind of go, okay, I kind of know besame mucho, I know words. I kind of can piece it together how it flows. But Dutch, who thinks about learning Dutch? That's not something that you ever think about learning. And Dutch is a very, very harsh language. It's almost borders on German. And it's dank, ink, very harsh, guttural words. So it was hard to learn that. It was very hard to learn that. And for a speech, it wasn't just for 2 words. It was a speech. So it was a hard thing to do. But I'm glad I did it, because now I know I'm open to it. I can learn almost any other language if I could do Dutch on the show.
That is, that is really cool. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Graham must have been so proud of you for booking that.
Yeah, he was. And Graham, by the way, watched the show.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm never going to be able to compete with Graham.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, one of the good things about Graham also is that his class has a lot of working actors in it. A lot of people that book work, and that's something that you don't find a lot in a lot of classes. Also, Graham is a working actor himself, so he's in the trenches. He's not somebody that used to be famous 25 years ago or was a working actor 30 years, but now he's kind of out of touch, but he knows acting technique. Graham knows acting technique, and he's in the trenches booking work right along with us. So that's exciting at the same time as a current. I like that it's tactile. All the scenes, as you know, all the scenes we do in class are actual sides that have just come out like a week ago or 2 weeks ago from auditions, from actual auditions that are in the world. They're not old stuff or made up stuff. They're actually real auditions, which helps, because you get to see what's out there.
Yeah, for sure. There have been times where I'm watching something and I'm like, this sounds so familiar.
Yes. I do that. We did it in class. I've done that a few times. Yeah, that's exactly right. I've done that a few times. That's so right. That's so right.
That is so funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think definitely part of your longevity is just your passion for this art. And that's really cool. Your passion for performance, your side hustle is also performing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that would be my next question is how do you find that the two kind of feed each other, and I don't know, maybe there's some kind of harmony between the acting and the singing. And then also, sorry, also other part of the question is, at what point were you able to leave your security and your massage therapy and realize, wait, no, I can just do my singing and my
Yeah.
acting? What was that moment like for you?
Well, it's funny. I was the head of a hotel security for a while. And
Okay.
then I decided to, as Steve Harvey calls it, jump from the job
Mm-hmm.
and just say, it's time for me to do. If I don't, I felt it in my system. Everybody else was telling me, literally telling me, don't do it, because who makes a living as an actor? Who makes a living
Right.
as an entertainer? Sounds good, but you're not going. And I knew in my soul if I didn't, and I had a coworker that worked with me. I worked overnights because I still was doing auditioning at daytime, so I worked
Yeah.
graveyard shift.
Yeah.
One of the night managers at the hotel, I was sitting with him and we'd sit all night and talk and stuff. He was at one time an aspiring actor. Now he only does background work a lot.
Uh-huh.
He does background work. But he would be one of those, how are you going to do this? He said, I can't leave my job. I'm afraid if I leave my job, I'll be caught out in the middle. There won't be. But I knew in my soul that if I didn't leave now, I'd look back and be just like that.
Yeah.
I'd look back like 5-10 years later and go, you know what? I should have, but now I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't,
Yeah.
now and so I just jumped. It was a nerve-wracking process because when I jumped, then COVID happened too.
Yeah.
And there was no singing and
Oh,
no
wow.
acting. There was no singing,
Yeah.
no acting going because you couldn't go out the house. You couldn't see anybody.
Yeah.
So thank God I had money saved up. I had to just go through, and I booked
Yeah.
Narco-Saints during the beginning of COVID.
Oh, wow.
I had to get on a thing just like I'm with you on a Zoom call with the
Mm-hmm.
director who was in Korea, and he had a translator, and we had to audition and talk just like you and I are doing. And
Yeah.
his translator would come on, do it like this, please, and do like that. Do you like that? And
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a hard decision to make. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
fortunate that my wife, my fiance at the time, my girlfriend at the time, she Mary, she was very on board with me doing it. If you think you can do this, she roughly said, if you think you can do this, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Then let's go ahead and do it. And I had some money saved up, so there was no her taking care of me
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
So I was able to pull my weight and stuff and do stuff, which is very important for you people out there, single guys who are getting married. You got to be able to pull your own weight if you're going to try to get involved with a career. Unless you're 25 or 30, then you got it going
Yeah.
on. But if you're older, you need to have some money in the kettle to pursue this career. So that's what happened. And then
Yeah.
then I booked one thing. I booked a commercial. Then I booked another commercial. Then I booked a role on a TV series, a episode, and then another episode. And then I booked a recurring on Good Trouble. And then things just started happening,
Wow.
And then
So
thank God the phone rings.
your leap paid off. That's great. I
Yeah.
think just like for comparison, I kind of took that leap when I had Julia, my 3-year-old. My
Yes.
husband and I decided, you know what, like I'm going to take a break from working
Yes.
and I'm just going to focus on acting. And the pandemic hit when she was about 8 months old,
Oh my
9
God.
months old. But I had like just started to get some representation and
Yes.
whatnot. But the problem was I didn't have a bunch of money saved up. I didn't have enough money saved up. So
Yeah.
I just took an assistant property manager job in the last month and a half. So now I'm doing now
Yeah.
I'm working all
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
doing the podcast and auditions. It's
Yes.
already happened once where I got an audition. Oh my God, Jordan, you won't believe this. I got an audition at 9:30 and they're like, it's due at 11 a.m. And I'm in my office and I'm like, oh crap. I knew this was going to happen. And I've only been working with them for like 4 weeks. And I told I was like, but I was very clear when I took the job. I said, hey, I'm an actor and I will need to do auditions from time to time. But, I'm really at the beginnings and I just don't get that many auditions.
Right.
And I was like, I booked one thing last year. who knows? I may not book anything this year, so
Right.
it may not affect this job at all.
Right.
But sure enough, I was like, I have to go do an audition somewhere outside in the courtyard. I'll be back in like an hour.
Making it work, girl.
But I
Making
did.
it work.
It made me realize it's like, okay, I need one of those portable tripods that
Oh,
I can
yeah,
wrap around a tree.
Yep.
And I'm out in this like courtyard among some like high-rise buildings. Fortunately, like all the other tenants are like animation studios and like Disney and Mattel, so like they're all like, there's even one, I don't know who it is, but they always have like camera equipment coming in and out of their warehouse, so I think they like are a camera rental company or something.
wow.
Or maybe it's like a video game company that does like the stop motion animation. I don't know. Anyway, so like I was like, they're all weirdos too. So I'm just gonna do this out here. I'm out there like yelling at the camera. People walk by and I'm like, hi.
Was it a very animated audition where you had to really, people can look at what the hell is she doing over there?
Yeah. I was supposed to be yelling at somebody. So.
That's great. That's great.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's the process of acting. You stay there though. Stay. Grow in that.
Yeah,
That's you're in the right place.
definitely.
And this podcasting thing, like I said, you got a knack for that. So you never know where that goes.
Yeah.
That's because if this took off in a major way, who knows? That's still entertainment. That's still you being vibrant. That's still part of your soul that you love doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is.
Yes.
This feeds two things. It feeds like the entertainment kind of aspect of it.
Yes.
But also like the connection. For me, I really like making connection with people.
Yes.
And there's like a healer side of me.
Yes,
So it's like even like healing my own self of like, I'm still trying to do this. I'm still trying to get credits. I'm still trying to make my way.
Yes.
And it's like part of it is selfish. Like I like to hear other people's stories. It's inspiring for me, but I also know, hey, if I want to hear this, I know that there's other people out there that want to hear this. So let me share it with everybody.
Amen. I love it. Preach, sister. I love it. That's exactly right. But you have a heart for you have an open heart, which allows people to feel like they want to talk to you and communicate with you. So that helps. That's what you need as a communicator, like you are. Any type of talk show host, they have to have that, or it's ineffectual. So you got that part down.
Oh, thank you.
You just need to keep going and get a break in it.
Yeah.
And let me tell your audience, it's by no means over. No means final game. I still have a lot to accomplish. I still want Emmys. I still want Oscars. I still want all the things that the young kid in me wanted to have as a kid. Yes. I still want to do that. And thank God is more and more opening to be possible. Yeah. And so you just got to have a strong will. Let me tell you a little story real quickly.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I about 2000, let's say the pandemic happened in 2019-20, right?
2020. Yeah. March 2020 was when it shut down.
So let's go to early 2019, maybe even the borderline of summer of 2018, but 2019 definitely. So I'm doing a actor's workshop for a casting director, and her technique was to pair people together. To pair people together and that were sitting around in the class and audition for her reading each other's material. So you guys switch. You give him yours and he takes yours. Now check this out. This has to do with the moral of the story has to do with hanging in there regardless of circumstances and fear about can you do it? So the guy she pairs me up was a young, nice dude, good looking dude, young dude, maybe in his 30s. So we go out in the hallway where everybody else does, and we practice our scenes. He says, "Man, I like your scene. You groove good with me, man." I said, "I never do." And so the camera time we called. He said, "Oh, my name is Tarzan." That's what they call me. That's just my name, Tarzan. Oh, I said, "Cool. Hey, what's up, Tarzan?" So I like to be called. So we went in. The casting director said, "Man, you guys have a good chemistry together." I said, "Nice. Yeah, we do. So it's nice." So we read finish. So cut to that was in 2019, right? Late 2018 or early 2019, definitely in that area. All right, so I'm watching. I went to the movies a few months ago, and I'm watching Top Gun Maverick. Tom Cruise,
Yes.
right? One of the core airmen that he's with. There's a black dude there, and I'm going. That dude looks familiar. That guy, tons of lines. He's in there with Tom Cruise all the time. He's not like an extra. He's like one of the principal supporting roles. I said, as I wait to the end of the credits, and sure, his name was Tarzan in quotes Davis. And I'm like, ain't that a bitch? This guy just came out here. It had to be no longer than 2 years before I met him at the least.
Yeah.
And I went home and I looked at up his IMDb, and there he was. He had got in 2019. He got on Grey's Anatomy as a doctor, like a principal doctor role for a whole season.
Yeah.
And then he got Top Gun. And then I just read that Tom Cruise took the cast from Top Gun and put him in Mission Impossible, the new one coming out. So this guy, theoretically, unless he messes himself up, never has to worry about where my meal's coming from again. He's in his 30s and he's in. And this is his journey is like a 5-year journey. He's like, I came here in 2014. I went to a thing. See? And for a minute, it put me in a tailspin, to be honest, because I was like, what the hell? This guy's been out here, just met him. He's been out here, didn't have many credits, and now look at him. And now he'll have his whole thing, And so just to tell the audience, it's not a paint by numbers. There's no, okay, I've done my homework. I've gone to acting school for 10 years. Now I'm out here. I should get hired in 5 seconds and be a star. So it can happen like that, and it cannot happen like that. But you have to hold on to your dream and keep going, keep plugging ahead. I'm making it the way I'm supposed to make it. He made it the way he was supposed to make it. And that's how you just have to look at it. Different people are on different timelines, And so it just was an interesting story to me. I love telling that story. Just a very funny story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just it. And you can't, that's where they say comparison is death.
Yes.
Because if you start getting in your head and you compare yourself to everybody else, it's really hard to not let it get in your head.
Yes.
I go through it on the regular. I have a few friends in my very close circle who are booking things all the time. And we came up together in Second City, and I'm like, oh, well, but why them? Why not me? And not that why... Like, as if they're not deserving. They're absolutely deserving. And I'm so happy for them. Yeah. And I just have to keep patience and just know, like, okay, Lisa, you got more work to do. It'll come when it's time.
And on your story, I read Samuel L. Jackson had the same thing. He went to school with Denzel and all those guys, and he would see them elevate quickly and go. And he said, where's my, when am I gonna? And now you can't turn on anything without seeing Samuel L. Jackson in. He's in almost every movie you ever watch. So it does come around. I can't promise, but you got better odds if you hang in there and you believe in yourself. It does come around where there's a time where, God gives you your shot. God said, all right, here we go, And so I just got back from New Orleans filming with Bryan Cranston. And so,
that's so cool.
So for Your Honor, his new TV show he has on Showtime. So I mean, when show business works, it's great. I mean, where can you go that you're in New Orleans, you got a paid hotel, first class air trip, and you're getting paid to stay in New Orleans, and you're working with Bryan Cranston. Yeah. I mean, when it works, it's sublime. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like when it doesn't work, though, that's when you go through all
it can be like the deep depths of your soul.
Yes.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
Oh man, you got it. Sometimes you're hanging on with just one finger, man. You're just hanging on with one finger.
I mean, even just a few weeks ago, I was like sitting there like, what? I don't know. Maybe this isn't my calling. Maybe it's going to be writing. Maybe it's going to be podcasting. Maybe acting isn't for me, but we all have days like that.
Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir, sister. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah.
The thing is to just hang in there. One of the things with being this age, you get to the point of knowing that that's how it is. You know your mind's
Yeah.
you know if this happens, your mind's going to mess with you this way. You know if this
Yeah.
happens, you know this is what I'm inclined to do. So let me get ready for the depression of that. Or you kind of know
Yeah.
yourself a little bit, and you know it all passes. It means nothing.
I
It means
really I
nothing.
really like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
perspective. That's a really good
yeah.
perspective is that like when you get to a certain point, you know your triggers,
Yes,
you know
yes.
yourself. But then knowing yourself is also what makes your work better,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It
Yeah.
sure does. It sure does. There's a commercial.
Yeah.
There was a commercial that Kevin Bacon, not a commercial. Kevin Bacon did a thing on Facebook, and he's sitting there in his room and he says, "This is my last roll of toilet paper." And why I'm telling you this is because when I first did, and he goes back to all his movies. When I first did, he named his first movies. I thought this was my last role. And then I booked da 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 da. And at the end of that movie, I thought, this is my last role. No one's ever going to hire me again. And then I got da da da. And of course, I thought, this is going to be my last role. And its point is, you're always going to
Yeah.
think that. So your mind is
Yeah.
always susceptible to mess with you, especially when the phone doesn't ring quickly or the phone doesn't
Yeah.
ring for a while. Then it's a tendency as a human to want to go, well, maybe I'm not good in this. Maybe I should get out. What's wrong with me?
Mhm.
All that type of stuff. And I just want to tell you that that's just normal human being. That's not true. It's not a true thing.
Yeah.
It's not a is that there's something wrong with you. It's not a is that you're a bad actor. It's not a is that you shouldn't be in show business. It's just the phone hasn't rung yet.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. The phone will ring if you hang in there.
I
It's like sales jobs. It's a number game, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. 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 I like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, I have a couple more
Oh
questions
my
to ask.
God.
Yes. Just a couple.
Yes.
One, I want to know, what do you look forward to as you age into your career? You continue to like build this career.
I look forward to, and this is going to sound funny and hokey, but I look forward to achieving my goals as like my Emmys and my Oscars. I look
Yeah.
forward to those things. I
Yeah.
mean, I really look forward to making a difference with those things. And maybe the fact
Yes.
that I'm older than when I thought I would get those things is a little plus, because
Yeah.
maybe that'll help somebody in the years going along.
Yeah.
I look forward to growing with a family. I brought a house. I have a wife. I look forward to
Yeah.
the nuances of, and I travel before.
Yeah.
Before, when I was a broke actor, and I had
Yeah.
too much angst. How can I take a trip? I can't afford to take a trip. How would and I don't like flying to
Yeah.
begin with that much. So it was very easy for
Yeah.
me to put it aside. My wife, however, loves travel. So I've been on more
Yeah.
places, and as I booked work, Dominican Republic, we shot Narco-Saints in Dominican
Yeah.
Republic. Just got back from New Orleans with Bryan Cranston. So I've been on more flights and travel in the last 3 years than I have in my whole life. So I look forward to more of that. Believe it or not, I look forward to
Awesome.
more travel. I look forward to this awesome journey, getting to meet people. I just had an actress who's also was in Graham's class years ago, same time you were, in fact.
Uh-huh.
And she and her writing partner just wrote a screenplay. And they emailed me about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and said, would you read this with us? We
Yeah.
got a group of like 5 actors. We want you to read
Oh.
this with us. Would you please? Would you read a role in here? We got it for. And I said yes. But things like that, I
Yeah.
love stuff like that. I mean, things like that.
Collaboration.
Yeah, and I like to see their success grow, and and
Yeah.
all that stuff like that. So at this age, I look forward to enjoying my life more, like taking the pressure off myself. Of in fact, right today, I have to sing on tomorrow. I have a singing gig tomorrow, a retirement
Okay.
party that I booked months ago. They got all
Yeah.
this thing set up. They're having it in a hall and all this thing set up. And then yesterday, this afternoon, I got an audition for a commercial at the same time.
Oh my
At the
gosh.
same time. Now, my angsty old self was, oh, well, you know what? Guys at the singing thing, I can't do it. Sorry. Acting calls. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But what I did was I just told the casting people, I said, can you change it for another time? And if they can't, then just let it go. There's nothing I
Yeah.
can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. These people
Yeah.
came first. I had this book. I'm not going to jam them up, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
but in my old self, I would have had angst all night long. Oh my God, I turned down an acting role or a potential acting role. Am I ever going to get another? What am I going to do? This is terrible. The gods, And I didn't do any of that, but I felt the old tug to want to do that. The old
Yeah.
tug was there, but the new information
Yeah.
of myself was like, dude, if you say no, what happens? If you miss it,
Yeah.
there'll be another one.
But that's knowing
Yeah,
your worth, and that's
yeah.
confidence, and
And
just
that's
like
growing
knowing
into
like,
yourself with the
okay,
age. That's growing
yeah,
into yourself with the
yeah,
age thing. That no one,
that's brilliant.
it happens. Just relax and let it
Yeah,
happen. And that's that. Yeah.
that's
So
great.
that's that.
Okay, so then my next question is, do you have any advice for anyone who is either coming at this in their middle age, or maybe someone who's coming up young and they just,
Yeah. Um,
yeah,
well, for somebody in middle age, say you want to do this as your second act. You were in a
yeah,
job for a while and you just decide, hey, I can be an actor and I can do that. I would say study first of all, and not so much because look, Tom Cruise never went to acting school that we know of. He just has an innate ability, and we love him. But if it doesn't roll off the tongue as smooth as that for you, the person I'm talking to, if it doesn't, I would say take an acting class, take an improv class, things that loosen you up to be in front of people, to be in front of the camera. They say the most thing that people are afraid of are talking to other people or saying a speech in front of people. And if you
yeah,
go into acting, you'll be doing that. That's your life. You'll be always in front of a
yeah,
camera or in front of somebody saying, okay, you're on. Show me what you got. And you got to show them what you got.
yeah,
Otherwise, they go, thank you. Next. So
yeah,
I would say study. And I would say believe in yourself. And also, very important, as we mentioned earlier, I would say have a nest egg. Have some sort of nest egg. You
yeah,
don't need to have $40 million saved up, but you should have a roughly around, I'd say, enough to make it to 2-3 months of rent to see if you really want to do.
yeah.
I'd say a solid 3 months of rent and your bills. And if
Mm-hmm.
if you have a spouse, I'd say sit down, take them to dinner, and talk with them about it. Don't just pop this
Yeah.
on them to say, you know what, today's Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to be an actor. Sorry, what do you got to say about it? Because you'll be
Yeah.
in divorce court
Yeah.
on the next week. So don't do that. Talk with your spouse or your significant other if you do decide to do it and you're very serious. Talk because they might give you
Yeah.
another perspective that you didn't think about, and you
Yeah.
might want to stay
That's
in
great.
what you're doing. There's no shame in the
Yeah.
game if you want to stay in what you're doing and decide, I like it, but I don't like it because as I told you in that story, you can have a 3 or 5 year story where you just got out there and all of a sudden somebody scooped you up, or you can have a longer journey like I had. And it takes a while for
Yeah.
you to get rolling and get rolling. It depends on you want to take the chance because it's all a chance. There's
Yeah.
no written school book. Listen, when you're a doctor, you go through medical school, and when you get out, or while you're going through medical school, you know in your mind, when I get out, I'm going to open a practice. No doubt about it. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
goes. And then somebody eventually will come to my practice, or I'll be in a hospital. When you're an actor, you can go through 100 years of acting school. And when you graduate, you still can have nobody want you for what you do, for whatever reason it is, And so
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
be willing to say, I'll take that risk. I love it that much. I'll
Yeah.
go into community theater
Yeah.
and just do it. I just love acting. And you got to make sure
Yeah.
your mate will
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
on that journey with you. So that's
Yeah.
what I would say.
That's smart.
For the new person, study,
That's good
study,
advice.
study, 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 and believe in yourself. That's for the new person of any age. If you're going into acting, believe in yourself and study. Always keep studying because you learn something. Oh, and travel.
Yeah.
I didn't know this till later age. Travel. When you travel, you become more worldly. You open yourself up. You find and
Yes.
discover new things about yourself and the world and people. And that can't help but influence and inform your acting or your entertainment or your personality when you're in front of a camera. It can't help but influence and inform that. So that's a little side
Yes.
thing. If you're young enough and you have some money or you have some time, travel. Incorporate that into your life. Even if you're older,
Yes.
incorporate travel into your life. I'm glad my wife likes to travel because that's it turned my world around. And it might be a part of another reason that you asked earlier why I'm experiencing more and more success now. Because I'm a different
Yeah.
actor, different guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I think that's
Yeah.
a big deal. Especially getting outside the US and seeing how the world
Yes.
sees everything
Yes.
else is
Absolutely.
huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so my last
No
question.
way. Has it been 5 hours already?
Yes, yeah. My
Yes.
last question I always ask everybody is what does making it mean to you now, maybe versus when you first started? Or maybe it's
Wow.
the same. Like what does
That's a good question.
success making it?
Success to me now is a little different. When I was in my 20s, success to me was being as famous as Tom Cruise, being as famous as
Yeah.
anybody you can think of who is that can't walk down the street without, and
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, and having all the girls in the world at my feet. Oh, we love you, Jordan. That when you're 20, that was that's making it, and you have all the money in the world. Your bank account is just overflowing. That was my 20 image of being successful. Now, it's much better. Now I have a richer understanding of who I am. I love growing with my wife. She's fantastic. I love that aspect of having a wife, which is something that I didn't even think of years ago. I love the aspect of having a person in my life and sharing a life with somebody, and the success of growing with that. I have a hobby. So I love my hobby. Growing with my hobby keeps me sane and centered. And just the career part. The career part for me is if I can consistently work on, say, a TV series, and I don't even need to be the star of a TV series. I don't need to be the guy, but I'd like to work with an ensemble cast, say like a Chicago PD or Criminal Minds, which is 5 or 6 people, and every episode is different. You might focus on 1 or 2 of them or 5 of them. I like to be in that. And if I can be in a series like that goes to has a good run, that would be great because I could stay home, I hope, and as local, Los Angeles, and I can build my life consistently. I'd like that, and that would be a nice nod to my resume. I would like to do that. That would be success to me.
That sounds fantastic. Jordan, this has been so awesome. I'm so glad we got to
Lisa,
connect with
I'm
this.
so glad to find you again and to see that you look great and you're feeling great. And you had a little baby. Oh my God, that's a cherry on the pie for me. That's really nice. But I'm so glad to be part of this and that you wanted to hear my 2 cents of acting and stuff.
Absolutely.
And I thank you so much for that. And much success to your career and what you're up to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I look forward to continuing to watch your star rise. And then I look forward to seeing you on set.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. So it is. Amen. I love that. Seeing you on set.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
What a time.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me your time.
Bye, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to watch Jordan and Narco-Saints, available on Netflix now. And please, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen and share it with your friends on social media. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at makingitafter40, the number 40, and to catch up on what I'm doing when I'm not podcasting, check out my Instagram at Lisa Rodriguez. Thanks for listening, friends, and have an excellent week.